Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Kerrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinekerrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is Kerri Schoonyoung. Kerri Schoonyoung is the founder of seekersfieldguide.com, which we're going to learn more about today. It's super exciting. If you are a holistic practitioner anywhere in the world, you're going to want to find out all about the Seekers Field Guide and probably join up. Welcome, Kerri Schoonyoung.
Thank you, Catherine. Thanks for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it, and I'm excited to chat with you.
So, Kerri Schoonyoung, will you share for our audience what was your entry point into the wellness world?
Sure. Well, I think I dabbled for a while in and out of the wellness world, starting with some meditation, yoga. But I think what really, I never really created a formal practice. So I think what really shifted for me and started my journey was Reiki. I explored Reiki for some knee and hip pain, and I had, it really opened a world to me. It healed my knee and hip injury, but it created a whole lot more, and it really kind of blew open the doors. And so I think as I practiced Reiki and became attuned, I found a lot of transformation within myself. And that piqued my curiosity to really explore wellness modalities further and really dive in what I like to call the wellness buffet.
Now, Kerri Schoonyoung, will you explain to our audience what your professional career background is? Because it's pretty
Sure.
impressive.
Oh, absolutely. So I have spent the last 27 plus years in marketing. Marketing and advertising is my background. Of those years, I've owned my own marketing agency for 17 years. And so I've worked with a lot of brands, big and small, and across a ton of different industries, um, and really felt the calling to use that time and talent to put it into something that I was very interested in, that I felt that there was a need for, and help kind of build and highlight a community that I was passionate about.
So, will you explain for our audience, Kerri Schoonyoung, what exactly is the Seeker's Field Guide?
Sure. So the Seekers Field Guide is a community of guides and seekers. So we are a global community that highlights practitioners whom we've called guides across all modalities. And so a big part of the philosophy behind Seekers is that wellness is not just one aspect. It's mind, body, spirit, and emotion. And where I found, looking out there that there was a gap was that there's definitely communities that focus on one aspect of your health. And they'll go deep and they're really amazing. But what I found was there wasn't something that really pulled everything together. And I think that eventually you can start at one point in your journey, whether that's 8 glasses of water a day, or perhaps you've had some trauma and are looking for some grief support. But eventually, as you continue on your journey, you're going to hit all aspects, mind, body, spirit, and emotion. And that's what Seeker's Guide, Field Guide is really a place to create, to teach you about the different modalities, to host discussions, create community, and most importantly, to highlight guides that can support you in whatever path you're in.
So, Kerri Schoonyoung, where can our audience find the Seeker's Field Guide?
So we are online, seekersfieldguide.com. So you can go to our website, you can sign up for our newsletter, you can explore, all of the offerings we have there. We're also on Instagram at Seekers Field Guide, and we have a podcast. And so part of what we do is I personally interview seekers and to discuss their journey and how that has come to life, as well as guides. And it's been really fascinating and super interesting.
So, Kerri Schoonyoung, as the host of the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio, I'm always seeking out holistic healers from all over the world and wanting to promote their work. And so many people in holistic healing aren't very great at getting found. Many of them don't have a website. Can you share for our audience, if someone is a holistic healer somewhere in the world, how can they sign up to be listed on the seekersfieldguide.com?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that that's something that I also noticed was that these amazing healers, but they're not representing themselves maybe in a way that could attract folks that need them. And so Seekers Field Guide was really that impetus to create a platform and to raise them up and to highlight them. So if they go to the site, they can right at the very top of the website on the homepage or on every page is there's an opportunity to reach out to us to become a guide. And through that, they would fill an intake form, and then we would start our vetting process. And if they meet the requirements and really feel aligned with our mission and vision, then we would, move forward with bringing them on as a guide.
So, and if someone signs up to be listed on the Seekers Field Guide, what do they actually receive?
That's great. So they would receive a profile. We would highlight and feature their offerings. And so that could be anything from their services, retreats, courses, books, whatever they are putting out into the world. We love to do a Q&A. We love to include some of their articles on the Field Journal. There'll be ratings and reviews. And really what, our hope is to highlight them and make sure that what they're putting out into the world is being featured and communicated in an appropriate way. I think I go back to my storytelling aspect of my marketing days of creating simple, clear messaging. And I think sometimes with guides, it's just that's not where their headspace is, or that's not where their passion is. Their passion is really on the healing, and so we try to take the opportunity to really highlight for them. What I think, so they're part of our community. I think one aspect that has really started to bubble up that is a value for guides is that community with other guides. I think a lot of folks are solo practitioners and solopreneurs, and so it gets a little lonely. And so what we wanted to do is to create that water cooler culture that they may not already have in their lives in that community, and so that they can exchange ideas and they can connect with other guides from around the world. And that has been really something that was important to us, but something that maybe have not prioritized as a value to the guides that really has bubbled up, and it's been great.
So, Kerri Schoonyoung, I very much appreciate what you're doing. So, just recently, within the past 2 weeks, I've talked to two amazing practitioners, one in Canada and one in Costa Rica, and they're doing incredible life-changing work with their clients. Neither one of them has a website. And I personally don't know of any service that lists holistic practitioners. So that if you're listening to this broadcast and you're wanting to find a medical intuitive or a Reiki practitioner or a craniosacral therapist or an acupuncturist or a trauma healer, where do you go to find these people? And that's what you have put together with the seekersfieldguide.com. Now, Kerri Schoonyoung, what actually sparked your original initial idea for the Seeker's Field Guide? And how does that align with your personal values and passions?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think what really the initial idea was sparked trying to figure out how I can support the holistic wellness community. What are the skills that I have as a seeker? I would say at the very, core, I am a infinitely curious person. I love to seek. I'm always wanting to try new things. I'm open to new ideas. And so I'm not a healer, but I am very curious and support and believe in that. And so I thought, what are the skill sets that I could provide? And I kept running into this challenge of finding healers, and not a very easy way. Because I'm naturally curious and I'm willing to do the work, I would dig through and try and test, and over the 25 years, as I've been doing this, I'm willing to kind of put that work and effort in. But I would say the average person is not. It's a lot. It's very time consuming, and it's not for everyone. And so what I saw the opportunity was to make it easier for the seeker and the guide to connect. And that's what gets me really excited is creating these connections and seeing that magic happen, and seeing folks that said, oh my gosh, I've tried everything. I didn't even know this modality existed. And now I do. And this has been an incredible change in my life. And for me, that really just fills me up. I've for many years have always as part of my career, I've always supported philanthropic and nonprofit efforts and have taken leadership roles in that. And so that was a big part of what I wanted to do with the Seekers Field Guide community. And so we've created a program called Guides for Good. And so as guides join us, they donate an offering. Once a year they donate an offering. And so we have an application on the website where people can apply for a service that they may not otherwise be able to access. And so that's another big piece that was very important, and it sparked and inspired me to create Seekers Field Guide. Is not only to create access for folks, but to create access for folks that would not otherwise have access.
So this is very important, I feel. And here at the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio, I've done a number of radio shows on how to run a holistic business and good, business practices for solopreneurs and, healers.
Mhm.
I At this juncture, I'm almost 66. I'll be 66 in another month. I've done my work for full time for 31 years. And I remember years ago, I had a client, he was a CEO in England, a chief executive officer. And he said, just for fun one day, he tried to find me on the internet. And he came to me actually by word of mouth, long-term client, but he said, I couldn't find you anywhere and you're world class. So I have since, done the work on my website, search engine optimization, and working through social media and putting videos on YouTube so that people can find me. And those of us in holistic healing, we often fall back on the idea, well, I have 31 years experience. I'm the author of 10 books. I'm really good at what I do. People should find me. And
Right.
just because people are excellent and have, are master healers doesn't mean that people can find us. And in order to help people, you have to be found, which is
Exactly.
why your work at the Seeker's Field Guide is so important. So, Kerri Schoonyoung, how have your past professional experiences shaped the development and strategy behind the Seeker's Field Guide?
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, the internet is a cluttered place. And I think working with brands, again, big and small, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of Fortune 100 brands, and so learning those best practices and having that ability to really see how they got to the top is an amazing gift that I bring to Seeker's Field Guide. And so, like you said, search engine optimization, keywords, how do we highlight and promote? How do we cut through the clutter? That's something that we definitely put a lot of rigor into the platform. We also are hosting, once a quarter, we'll host workshops for our guides that talk about best practices in marketing and how they can use some of those tools. And so leveraging my, the other side of my world in marketing and bringing that over to the guides to show them, how they can use those tools and what they should be doing to refine and clear through the clutter. I think the interesting thing with Seeker's Field Guide too is that I bring in that storytelling piece and that teaching piece. And so while it's a directory that highlights guides, I think it's also important to always create an opportunity to teach and for the seekers to learn. And so there's aspects there where you may not know what cupping is, or you may not know what different modalities are. And so we are slowly building out a database of information so that folks can go there and learn and say, oh, okay, that is interesting. And that does align with what I'm looking at. Now let's see what guides practice. And so it's really about kind of creating that 360 journey so that at the end of the day, we're empowering the users, the seekers to make the choice for themselves. There's so much out there, and it's really hard to kind of differentiate what resonates with you. And my hope is that when people come to the site, come to Seekers Field Guide, that there's enough information there that they can decide on their own and be empowered to make a decision on their next path.
So great information. So as I understand it, Kerri Schoonyoung, the Seeker's Field Guide is both a plus for practitioners who are wanting people to find out about their work, as well as ordinary folks who are wanting to find a good healer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, and to teach them about, what are these modalities? I think one of our guides had a great, reference analogy to this, and he said, I said, "Oh wow, you're kind of like a mixed martial arts." Like he's always, doing different tools, and he said, "Yeah." He goes, "If I only had a hammer as my tool, everything would look like a nail." And
Mhm.
he says, "What I want is a toolbox filled with a bunch of tools, so that when I'm looking at issues, it's not just a nail, a nail, a nail." And I think that's what I want Seeker's Field Guide to be on a bigger scale. Is so that if someone said, oh, I have X, Y, or Z issue, they're not just looking at it from the physical, they're looking at it from all aspects, and then they have guides that can support that.
Beautiful. And with that, let's take a break and listen to a message from one of our commercial sponsors here at UK Health Radio. My name is Catherine Kerrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. We're listening to Kerri Schoonyoung talk about the seekersfieldguide.com. And hang in there, we'll be right back. Kerri Schoonyoung, if someone listening to this broadcast is a member of the general public who's wanting to find a good healer in their area or a good healer who can help them, how would you recommend a member of the general public go about using the seekersfieldguide.com? Where do they start?
That's a great question. So I think if they know that they want a specific healer for a specific modality, then they can filter through the guides. So I would start with the guides there. I think what's really amazing with where we're at in this world now with technology is that a lot of the folks can do virtual. So I would say 98% of our guides offer virtual offerings. And so I think that's really nice. There's a lot of flexibility there. I think if someone from the general public didn't really know where to start, I think it would be very helpful to maybe look at a path. Where are they most comfortable? Are they most comfortable exploring support in body? Is it mind? Is it spirit? Or is it emotion? And through that path, they can sort the different modalities that support that. And so they may say, oh, I've never heard of Reiki. I've never heard of, I've used the, cupping or energy healing. And so that might be a great way to start just to explore the different modalities. So I think there's two ways. One is I know the modality, now I need to find the guide, or I don't really know where to start. So let me educate myself and figure out what are some of the options out there for me.
So beautiful information. And right before our broadcast, you very kindly put me on the Seeker's Field Guide. And I was looking at my page on the Seeker's Field Guide, and it includes a link to my website. So people go straight to your website, a link to my Instagram, a link to my YouTube channel, and am I missing some? And a link to my Facebook, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for members who are people who are interested in being listed as healers, is there a cost to be listed on the Seeker's Field Guide?
There is. We have a monthly membership fee. And so that is something that we would discuss. It's $33 a month, USD. I know we have an international audience here. And then in that, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So first of all, thank you for being a part of the Seekers Field Guide community. We are honored to have you, Catherine. And as you mentioned, we really want to reduce the friction with creating that connection. Our goal and our hope is we elevate you, we give the seeker enough information and well-rounded information about you so they understand, yes, Catherine resonates with me. And then we let the connection happen on your site, on your terms with the seeker. And so we kind of get out of the way. So that's our goal. And so that you can then continue on the relationship with the seeker. We don't want to create a lot of restriction there. And so that was something that, was really important to me. It was to be as easy as possible to connect you quickly with seekers.
And again, I can't stress for our audience of fellow holistic healers how important this is. So every business, no matter what it is, has three parts: sales and marketing. If you don't do sales and marketing, nothing happens. You could be the greatest healer in the world and no one will find out about you. And then there's the administration. So, for example, I've been communicating with my certified public accountant, working on my taxes, keeping up with my QuickBooks. And then there's the production. And when you're doing your production, that's when we are doing what we love to do. That's when we're doing our healing work. That's when I'm doing my energy healing, my medical intuitive readings, and working with people in 6 continents. And what I see in the field of holistic healing is so many people think to, have a good business, I just have to be really good at what I do.
Right.
And that's the first step, right? That's why I've been able to have a business for 31 years. But then you have to do the sales and marketing so people can find you, right? Just like that CEO client, he said, "You're world class and I can't even find you on the internet." So I took steps to be found, right?
Right. And I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a great point to make. And it's the not, maybe it's not the not fun stuff, or it's the stuff that makes you feel a bit uncomfortable. And so I know there's a lot of noise out there too with promote and add, join this and add this. And I think, you know, what we wanted to do is cut through the clutter and just create a trusted, vetted source in a community for both the seeker as well as the guide, and be supportive for the guide. And my belief is if we can, seekers feel like can kind of alleviate some of that busy work for guides, then you can practice and do what you do best and really focus in on the healing. And what a relief that is, to have a partner and have that community that's helping to to take care of that piece for you.
Yeah, so this is really about how to get found by the people who need us, right?
Right, right,
And
exactly.
yeah, and one of the things that I say to a lot of holistic healers is you may be the answer to someone's prayer. The people who need us, they may have been in pain for a long time. They may have done the drugs and the surgery and gone to the psychologist and the psychiatrist and been to the Mayo Clinic and they're still suffering. And that's where we step in for really moving the needle. But if people can't find us, they can't get the help they need. Now, Kerri Schoonyoung, anyone who starts their own business always has a moment of self-doubt, or I mean, anyone alive has self-doubt. I think that's just part of being human. Can you share a moment of self-doubt or setback you experienced during the creation of the Seeker's Field Guide? And what did you learn from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, one significant moment of self-doubt occurred was when I was finalizing that content for the guides and for the website, and I started to have that imposter syndrome. Am I the right person, or am I qualified to be putting this information out there, to be building this community? I think, the other piece was the podcast. I am not naturally someone who wants to be out in the forefront. It was very vulnerable for me to step out of my comfort zone and step out from behind the scenes and produce a podcast. But I really felt that, embracing that vulnerability creates this amazing opportunity for growth. And so once I shifted that lens and really thought about it less about as, fear holding me back, and feeling vulnerable and saying, you know what, this is just part of my journey and part of where I need to stretch and grow. I think that really helped me shake that off. It doesn't mean I don't have those moments every day, but it helps to kind of just put it back into where it should sit, and
I
not let it take over.
Yeah, I love that story. And I think that so many of us definitely go through that. I'll share a personal story. I've now, in addition to being a medical intuitive healer, I'm also a yoga teacher. I've now taught yoga for 30 years. At age almost 66, I still teach 8 classes a week. And I remember when I started teaching movement, I would get up in the front of the room and I'd be like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me in my leotard. And then I remember there was one day I had this realization. I was like, they're all worried about what they look like, right? And the same thing. I this is my second radio show that I have run. And I remember when I ran my first radio show, I was so nervous, I almost passed out. But what kind of keeps me going again is this through line of wanting to help people find actual answers.
Hmm.
uh, I read the comments on my YouTube channel, and I had done some radio show about how to heal depression naturally. And somebody had commented and they said, well, but the only thing that works is antidepressants. And I thought, oh my goodness. Uh,
Mm.
because there's all these people, I believe something like 12% of the US population is on some sort of psychiatric medication. And there are all these people, they're taking the antidepressants, they're taking the anti-anxiety medications, and they're still depressed, they're still anxious. So it's not actually solving the problem. And it
Hmm.
is this work, this holistic healing, working mind, body, and spirit that actually does move the needle and does actually heal people, right?
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And at my age, I'm very much aware of the younger generation. There are younger people who want to be healers, who want to make a difference, and who need to know that it is possible to make a living doing this, right?
Hmm.
So I've done this full time for 31 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That is a run.
That's a run. And I tell people I'm conventionally successful in an unconventional career. I own my house, I own my car, I have investments at Morgan Stanley, but part of it is I run my business like a business, and when I'm doing my healing work, I'm fully present because I'm not worried about, can I pay the rent? Can I carry
Right.
my nut? Right. So, and it's taking and really realizing these three aspects of business that you actually have to do if you want to have a business.
Right. Yeah, I think that it is an important reminder, and something that, people are not that comfortable with. Some people are, like yourself, very comfortable and pragmatic about it. And I think it's so nice to have these tools out there that people can lean in on, or advice, or even that mentorship.
Yes. Now, what kind of impact do you hope the Seeker's Field Guide will have on its users' lives, the seekers, and what are some of the practical things it can help them with?
Yeah. So I really, one of my hopes and goals is that Seeker's Field Guide serves as a catalyst for positive change in the seekers' lives. Again, I want to be able to offer up this buffet of wellness, and to empower the seeker to really make their own choices. I think, in a lot of instances, people are waiting for the answers to be given to them, but I really want them to reach within themselves, educate themselves, and find the answers. And so I'm hoping that by simplifying this and by creating a platform of tools, that they take the initiative. So I really want this to be an empowering place for seekers and to create positive change. Um, and I think that my goal is to provide those practical tools and insights that encourage the empowerment, self-reflection, personal growth, and just a deeper understanding of oneself. I think, rather than trying to look for that quick fix or the band-aid, is that it's not easy, right? You have to kind of dig a little deeper, and do the work. But I think when you build a foundation, and by doing that, it's just so much more rewarding, and the change sticks because you've gone deeper with that. And so really, it's whether it's helping someone establish a mindfulness practice or guiding them through difficult emotions. I want the seekers to feel supported on their journey, and to create their own map.
That's beautiful. And with that, let's take a break and listen to another message from one of our commercial sponsors at UK Health Radio. And I want to just have a shout out for UK Health Radio because UK Health Radio is another fabulous resource for people to learn about holistic health. UK Health Radio currently has 1.5 million listeners every month. We're in 54 countries on 15 major podcast platforms all over the world. So you can also listen to UK Health Radio to learn how to be healthy. We'll be right back. So, Kerri Schoonyoung, I love that you started this broadcast by sharing your journey in your wellness practice and practicing yoga and learning Reiki, which I think are places where many of us start in holistic healing. How has the Seeker's Field Guide impacted your own personal growth and spiritual journey?
Well, I feel that Seeker's Field Guide has been an incredibly transformative experience for me. I've met some amazing healers and guides along the way, and I've learned so much. I feel like I've already been naturally very deep and focused in on all the modalities, but there's always more, and and you can always go deeper. And I found that to be so amazing. I think it's really deepened my understanding of wellness concepts. I think as I was building this out and speaking with healers, and just the wise advice and amazing just connections that I've had have been really beautiful and valuable for me. But I think also what I've noticed as you talk to a lot of folks, looking at that interconnectedness between, again, mind, body, spirit, and emotion. I think philosophically we can all say yes, that is true. But when I start to see that in practice with the healers, that's been really incredible, an incredible learning experience for me.
So, Kerri Schoonyoung, your background is in marketing and advertising, and I really appreciate that you're creating this resource for holistic healers, solopreneurs, and there's a term ompreneur. An ompreneur is someone who's a holistic entrepreneur.
Oh, I like that.
As you support this community, what are the biggest challenges you see the holistic healers facing from the business point of view?
I think it goes back to cutting through the clutter, and showing them their trust, or that they are a trusted, vetted resource. I think, as in any industry, there's a lot of charlatans. There's a lot of folks posing or perhaps practicing when they're really not, not there yet. And so I think really what I see for them is how do they stand out, and the true practitioners and the healers that have so much to offer, how do they really bubble up? And that's a challenge for them. And so as part of what we're doing at Seekers Field Guide is creating these ratings and reviews, and so that folks can go in and look at, just like any other industry like travel, um, and look at ratings and reviews for the guides. And I think that's really amazing, for not only for the seeker but for the guides to have, and to say, like, I have the credentialing, I have the experience, here's what I offer, and then here's what people are saying about me. And so being able to put that into one place, I think, is very valuable for them.
That's great information. I have a client in Spain who's recovering from narcissistic abuse.
Mm,
She told me, she said, I've wasted so much money on fake healers,
yes.
right? So I really appreciate that you're vetting people and then you're allowing customers to put in reviews. What has been the most rewarding part of creating this community for you?
I think the most rewarding part, well, there's a lot of obviously rewarding parts. There's also a lot of hard work that goes into this. It's definitely a labor of love. But I think that the most surprising, rewarding part is the creating the community and nurturing the guides. I know that on face value, what we're offering in terms of a vetted, trusted platform, ratings and reviews, creating a beautiful experience for the guides to showcase their talents. I know that is something that would be of value, but what I think the most rewarding is, oh my gosh, I would love to connect with these guides around the world. I would love to co-create. I would love to collaborate. And that, I think, for me is really exciting. I love to see that partnership in that community, and to nurture the guides. It's amazing. It's um, as a healer, as you know, you're always giving, and so how do we give back? And so that's been really well received and has been, a wonderful plus for me.
I love what you're saying. I just actually came back from a workshop in Unity Field Healing in Sedona, Arizona. So
Mm.
even though I have 31 years, I'm always in experience full time. I'm always continuing to learn. And part of what is so fun for me is to go and meet other healers.
Yes.
Because we're very much alike. Everybody's wearing comfortable clothes, everybody has on their crystals. We're all loving to help everybody, right? That's what it's really all about, right?
Yeah.
And we all have a meditation and prayer practice. There's certain commonalities that you'll find whenever you meet healers. Everybody's eating healthy,
Yeah.
very common things. And we all need what I refer to as spiritual family and spiritual community. So, spiritual community is companionship of like-minded people, right?
Mhm.
So I know if I go to a workshop in energy healing, I'm going to find people who are just like me,
Right.
wearing our comfortable clothes, our crystals, eating healthy, wanting to help everybody, praying and meditating all day long. Um, so you have created a podcast to support the seekersfieldguide.com. Where can people listen to your podcast and what do you cover in your podcast?
That's great. So we just launched the podcast. You can find it on our website. You can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And it's Seeker's Field Guide. If you want to check it out. And really, what the podcast, the focus of it is to follow the journeys of the seekers and the guides. And my hope is through those journeys and through that storytelling and feeling that connection, the listeners can learn a little bit more about the guides, right? Is this do I resonate with them? Do I feel aligned with them? I want to explore more. I think also too is taking away some of that mystique of a guide. Sometimes I think people forget they're human and that they have these human experiences and that they have had a journey, to get here too. And so I think, through the podcast, we really like to connect with guides and learn a little bit more about what makes them tick and what is their wellness practice and how that helps and shape and support what they put out into the world. And then for the seekers that we interview, I think it's been really interesting to see some of the journeys that they've been on, some of the modalities that they've tried that are unique and unexpected. And so it's really about an educational tool for our community to dig a little deeper in on specific stories.
Beautiful. Now, one of the things that motivates me every week to broadcast the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio is that I'm aware that there's this entire world of people who need our help. And for myself, as I mentioned, I'm going on 66. My mentor in healing just retired. So she's in her early 70s. And I'm like, I almost want to hold my breath when I think about it, because when I think about her decades of experience and her true wealth and abundance of knowledge and holistic healing, and my yoga teacher is primarily taking care of her husband who has Parkinson's disease. So I'm very aware at my stage in my career of the passing of time and generations. And that I want to empower younger generations of healers to know, first of all, that they can have an excellent living and a wonderful life doing this work, helping people.
Mhm.
And also, I don't want this knowledge to be lost, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just incredibly valuable information. So I want to share that through um, the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. And I'm personally very grateful to my own mentors. I pray for them every day, and I'm very thankful for them. As you have created the Seeker's Field Guide, what resources have mentors have been most helpful to you in creating and launching the website?
That it's as you were saying that I was reflecting, and I think what really makes it unique and special for me it are those mentors, and they are really come from all aspects of my life, in all ages and stages. So as I've thinking about that, I've had some invaluable advice on everything from content creation, SEO, monetization, to strategies to higher self-alignment, or from the younger generation on how to use Instagram and how to create a reel and don't use those hashtags. And so it's really interesting. And so I think, again, I'm very open and and open to receiving advice and receiving messages from all different aspects. And even when it comes down to someone, some type of advice that you wouldn't expect in a kind of a unique way, I'm definitely open to that. I was listening to a podcast on, and they cut to a commercial, and it was about fishing, and that's not my thing. However, I found some invaluable insights in this fishing podcast, and that I brought into some concepts around retreats. And so I think that there's messages out there. You have to, there's messages and mentors out there, and you really just have to keep your eyes and ears open and to take that in, and to filter that.
If you could give one piece of advice, Kerri Schoonyoung, to someone struggling to align their career with their personal passions, what would it be?
I did not take this advice, but I would give this advice. I should have taken this advice, but I think it would be to start small and be patient with yourself. I think if you can identify what truly excites you about your passions and find ways to integrate those into your daily life or your current job and kind of build from there, I think that that really, again, creates a nice foundation. Even like small changes day by day can lead to some significant shifts over time. I'd say give yourself grace and remember that aligning your career and your passions, it's a journey. So you
Great, great information. I would add to that, having 31 years, I have three rules for my business. Number one, everything I do has to be of total integrity. And my clients know that about me. So if I recommend something or if I do something, it's total integrity. It's going to work. And that's a big deal. Number two, everything I do has to be win-win. It has to be good for my clients and good for me. So that balances the energy, right? Because
yeah,
so many healers are over givers. And the last piece is everything I do has to be fun. Because if it's fun, you'll keep doing it, right?
right.
And I think
Oh,
and
that's
so many people burn out in their careers because they're not having fun.
right. That's actually wonderful advice and something that I'm going to take note of. So all very, very important key points to remember.
You've been listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Kerrigan, medical intuitive healer, Amazon #1 bestselling author. Our guest today has been Kerri Schoonyoung, founder of the seekersfieldguide.com. So if you're wanting to find a holistic healer, a vetted holistic healer, go to the seekersfieldguide.com. And if you're a holistic healer wanting to be found, reach out to Kerri Schoonyoung so that you can be listed on the seekersfieldguide.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.